Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. I hope you've all had a magic Monday despite the current market action that we're seeing throughout, not just the cryptocurrency market, but markets across the board. Today, we're going to be diving into Cardano, and we're going to be relating it to the boom and bust cycles that pretty much anything economical goes through. Because I think this is really going to help looking at boom and bust cycles from a number of different angles, looking at examples of boom and busts within markets. I think this is really going to help us understand what's currently going on with the cryptocurrency space. I'm going to be using this chart, which is typically overlaid or used to indicate gross domestic products, so an economy generally. But this basic wave-like market structure is present everywhere, and we're going to show you that in this video. We will, of course, be talking about the Wall Street cheat sheet and a number of other things. We bring this chart up that has shown other market moving events which we're currently going through. You know, we have March 2020 is still a very significant event, and of course we saw a huge boom given the fact that we saw a lot of easing of monetary policy, lots of money getting printed into the economy. Now we're at the other end of that and potentially witnessing a bust. And what I really want to highlight with that is that this will end and we will see that continuation. And Cardano only really came about in 2017, or certainly was on markets. It was being developed way before that. And the idea was there a long time ago. But it only really became available to markets on 2017. And so there's not really a lot of chart history to highlight this. So we're going to be using the likes of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a number of other charts to really show you boom and bust cycles and what's kind of, or what I certainly believe is going on currently with Cardano and, of course, the cryptocurrency market at large. And the boom and bust cycles, you know, broader market boom and bust patterns in regards to over a sort of wider time horizon have actually enabled me to become a very successful investor. And this is one of the first videos I ever made on the channel, very conveniently titled Cryptocurrencies Will Make You Rich. I mean, how many people have gotten rich off the cryptocurrency market since August 2020? And here we were looking at Ethereum, we were looking at the Wall Street cheat sheet, and we were showing you that, you know, this had already played out what we went through in 2017 onwards, and was going to play out again, and we were actually going to go a lot higher. And Ethereum 10x since we made this video. Many of the other small altcoins that we pointed out did significantly better, including Cardano. So let's get into the video, guys. Very quick note on Cardano content. We've got a lot of people who are actually building within the Cardano ecosystem coming on the channel to, you know, showcase their products, because there is a lot being built in terms of the DApp ecosystem and the DeFi ecosystem. Currently, that's under a huge expansion, and we really want to, you know, highlight some of the great projects that are actually rolling out on top of ADA as it is a blockchain that I certainly think is going to do very well into the future. And this has always been for the cryptocurrency space. Yes, there's periods where you can make a lot of money in a short period of time, but you make typically even more money over the longer term time horizon. You know, holding crypto has worked to date, certainly if we use Bitcoin as a kind of reference point. So the boom and bust cycles, what are they? Well, essentially, it's kind of very obvious in the sense that markets expand in terms of go up in price, and then, of course, go down the other end. And what the Wall Street cheat sheet is really doing is mapping out market psychology, which is very present in all markets. Why is this? Well, human beings drive markets. Human beings have emotions, and often emotions are played upon in regard to institutions and how they look to invest. So what's currently going on? Well, what we're going to do is go over to the Cardano chart. Cardano since March 2020 has seen a 16,236% gain. Today, from that high, we are currently down around about 71%. And I would argue that what's taking place right now is very much a boom and bust cycle. Now, this has played out on more of a macro time frame. You can see here you had a huge boom, and then, of course, a bust. But what happened back here was, I believe that the market over here was in a very different condition to the market that we're currently in. And in actual fact, the boom and bust cycles that we've seen for the cryptocurrency market to date have very much represented the Bitcoin 4-year cycle theory. There's not really a better boom and bust example than the Bitcoin chart. We have a boom, then we have a bust, boom, bust, boom, bust. And I actually think this is going to be a shorter bust than the previous ones we've seen. Now, lots of people right now, one reason lots of people are worried in regards to the cryptocurrency market is because they are expecting a 2018 or a 2014, 2015-esque bear market like we've traditionally seen for Bitcoin and, of course, the wider crypto market. I do not think that is now going to be the case. And I want to pull up Amazon, which is something that we looked at right at the beginning of when I actually made a channel, as it's very comparable in regards to Amazon came out of a technological advancement like blockchain is, and Amazon was a stock to come out of that, like many of your cryptocurrencies are. And this was, of course, the dot-com boom that we went through. And you can see you have, of course, the dot-com boom, and then you have a bust. But what comes after this, I think, is what the cryptocurrency space is potentially moving towards. You can see how the boom and bust cycles aren't on such a sort of long-term time horizon and become a lot more compact. So you have a boom, you have a bust, boom, bust, boom, bust. I think this is the journey that the cryptocurrency market is now on. And of course, Cardano is going to be a part of that. Can you see these boom and bust cycles? This is essentially what I'm trying to highlight here, and what I believe, not just Cardano, but a lot of the other cryptocurrency market is going through. Yes, you do have cryptocurrencies that I believe during periods of downturn like this tend to disappear. One way and one sort of silver lining to downward price action within the cryptocurrency markets is it almost purifies the market, as in it gets rid of a lot of the kind of crap that's within markets that doesn't really deserve to be invested in. Cardano is not that, neither is Bitcoin or Ethereum or many of the other altcoins that we highlight on this channel. And I believe that this is sort of what we're now going on, the trajectory that we're going on. We're going on, if you think about crypto in terms of adoption, this is your kind of bell curve. Here you are, and I believe you're somewhere right at the start of it. And the reason I believe this is because if you look at the amount of the world's population that owns and even uses crypto, it's a very small and negligible amount. And I think that this is a tech that in terms of gripping the world isn't or hasn't yet started its journey. If you compare it to other technological advancements like the internet, we are communicating right now over the internet, like the PC revolution. You guys are probably watching this on a PC or a mobile phone, which is really just a computer, or even the motoring industry, the railroad industry. These are things that are integrated into our lives on a day-to-day basis that we typically don't even think about. I think blockchain's on the same kind of an adoption curve, and that's why we're very bullish on the crypto space. But within these kind of the growth of crypto, you are going to have booms and busts, and that's what I currently believe we're in. Now, I think that this bust, this downturn in markets, is the reason I think we've moved away from the Bitcoin 4-year cycle theory, and this is what's been driving markets. I still think it's going to be present given the fact that the 4-year cycle theory is centered around the halving. But I don't think that they are as longly drawn out, if that makes sense. I think they're more snappy, and we see continuation in crypto right now, and we cover this every single day and try and reiterate it as much as possible, is really being driven by the macroeconomic landscape. Really, monetary tightening and monetary policy within the US is probably one of the main drivers, and we can see that with the correlation that it has with the likes of the NASDAQ, the S&P, and a number of other indexes. So in regards to Cardano, one thing that I always like to do is look at prior cycles. Yes, the conditions are different. Things don't exactly rhyme, but they can look very similar. And if we look at, for example, the Wall Street cheat sheet, if we look at the boom and bust cycles the Wall Street cheat sheet is highlighting, you actually sort of come back to where you started the rally. But if we look at it in comparison with the Ethereum chart, for example, you can see this is a huge boom. We're now in a kind of bust or a downward trending period. This is very similar. So you can see this move here is very, very similar, and we were highlighting it on this video that we made over 2 years ago now. It's very similar to the Wall Street cheat sheet. In fact, it's deadly apparent. But one thing that people don't realize is Ethereum was actually a lot cheaper and a lot less expensive down here than it was up here. And I think the Cardano chart is actually somewhat similar to this in regards to the fact that we have retraced a lot of this move, and that I actually think what we could be seeing is something like this, and then get that continuation. But this is really going to depend on the macro sort of backdrop. We need to see that decoupling from the likes of the NASDAQ, which I think there is an actual opportunity. Right now, we're very heavily correlated, not just ADA, the crypto market, and Bitcoin, really. If you want to, there's no dispute that Bitcoin is still the driver of value within the space, and I'll show you that very quickly. If we change this to pink, and what I'll do And what I should have done with all of them actually really to highlight the fact that, you know, we are very tethered. I mean, look, this is the total 2, which is the altcoin market, and obviously Bitcoin in blue. You can see just how correlated they are. So Bitcoin is really leading the market. But this is what I think, just like Ethereum, let me actually highlight this to really drill this home. Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing here? Let me know in the comment section. This move here, to me, is very, very similar to this move here. And this is, of course, not on a log scale. So if you look at this area over here, you have a boom, then you have a bust. Here, you have a boom, and then you have a bust. And I actually think we're going to see continuation in this kind of a manner. That's what I'm essentially looking at. Where this bottom is exactly is really anybody's guess at this point. However, I'm more than happy to continue accumulating Cardano into this dip because I believe in it over the long-term time horizon. And what I want to do is quickly show you something that I'm certainly looking out for at the moment in regards to ADA. And that, of course, is what's currently taking place. So we've seen a move from this. I'd like to see some sort of a W double bottom. Again, this is all extremely dependent on the kind of macro backdrop. So we could end up in a situation where we come down some more and then get that continuation, forming a sort of boom and bust cycle within the current market structure that we're in. And Cardano actually really likes to, one thing that I always like to see is if you see how it kind of consolidated around here, it kept coming down to this kind of level, you're kind of doing a similar thing today, guys. And it's often been the kind of stepping stone for ADA in many times. See that higher price appreciation. We know we've got the hard fork and a number of other things on the table for Cardano. So I just thought it's always really important to take kind of macro view. If we look at this chart here, this is the FTSE 100. It's not the most clear chart, but you can see all the events that have shaped and affected markets. And that's what markets are going through right now. Macro events have a direct impact on the cryptocurrency market. We're no different. And in actual fact, we've seen a huge correlation with your traditional market, given we have the same actors at play. And again, your Amazon kind of boom and busts, you know, you can see them very apparent, this kind of boom and bust structure that we go through. This, of course, is in regards to GDP, but it's very applicable throughout markets across the board. Markets go up, they come down, they don't just go up in a straight line over a long period of time. But as long as you have that kind of trend that is to the upside, which I do believe the cryptocurrency market has, certainly if we look at the 4-year cycle theory again, you can see the boom and busts of this. You know, this is the sort of boom and bust cycle that we're talking about. And you are going to have down days as well as good days. And it's just really about understanding what's going on here, that this is a technological revolution, and that ultimately I believe there is a good chance that blockchain could be actually the play a big role in operating the future financial systems around the world. We're already starting to see that in the form of CBDCs and a number of other things. You can also see this is the NASDAQ, for example. You have very, very evident boom and bust cycles within this. So remember, this is a year's time period. And you can see, you obviously had a bust here, boom, bust. It plays out on a short-term time frame as well. But you can see all the boom and busts within these markets. And I think crypto's on a similar adoption curve. And right now, we're just going through one of those busts. I don't think it's going to be a prolonged bear market necessarily. In actual fact, providing that things play out on the sort of macroeconomic environment, I could definitely see crypto making quite a big return towards the end of the year. Because money just doesn't evaporate. It's got to go somewhere. And people are looking at a lot of your traditional assets out there and really weighing things up. And in fact, the monetary system itself right now is somewhat crumbling, failing, if you will. And I think that, you know, this is actually going to push people into crypto. On top of that, we've got regulations that are coming from the US, from the UK, that both intend to be some of the main or leaders within the digital asset space. And also, you know, we've got governments around the world working on their CBDCs and ways that they can embrace and regulate the cryptocurrency market. So that is really all I have for you in this video. You know, looking at these kind of macro cycles that markets go through, even though I don't think we're going to play out on a sort of 4-year cycle theory, I do think there's going to be an element of the supply crunch that the halving brings for Bitcoin. And that, of course, will probably drive the crypto market. I don't think we're really set to this structured 4-year cycle anymore. I think things have changed. I think we've seen that in how 2021 ended, because essentially we went sideways almost for this entire year. That's not a 2017 or 2013-esque finish. And I ultimately think the game has changed full stop, and that this when I look at Bitcoin, it doesn't actually fill me with too much worry in the sense that this could just be one big continuation structure, if you will. So that is really all I have for you guys. Remember, we do have the Cardano stake pool. ALLIN is the ticker. We minted 5 blocks of CPOT, which is very good. And yeah, that's really all I have for you guys. Don't forget to follow me on all socials. If you've enjoyed this content, a like is always appreciated. So is a comment, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in the next YouTube video. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Monday.